Welcome to the Four Brewers podcast. My name is John Holzer, and as always, I am joined by
Jason Harris
and Tim Mather.
And Greg is not joining us this week because he is camping in the backwoods because it's his reverse quinceañera this weekend. He turned 51. That was Greg's joke, not mine. Yeah, he turned 51, so he's camping, and I think he's probably home or coming home or something like that. But happy birthday to Greg.
The other 51.
The other 51. Before we get started, I just want to give a couple shout outs to some peoples on the Patreon. First, we got new patron Sky Johnson at the $3 level. So thank you, Sky, for that. And then patron Jeff Austin raised their pledge from $1 to $3. So that's pretty dope.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And again, if you want to sign up to support the show, you can go to brew the shit out of it. No, is that support the shit out of it?
I was gonna say that's in a second.
That's our tagline.
We forgot our own fucking socials.
Yeah. When's the last time anyone said brew the shit out of it? Like, because I just put it at the end of the show, so no, we don't really say it anymore. But technically, it gets said at the end of the show every week.
Well, it is on the back of my laptop.
It is. I have on with the glassware that I'm still sending out. By the way, I'm almost there. I am throwing some brew the shit out of it stickers in there too. Whatever stickers I have, I just sprinkle them in randomly.
Yeah.
So
that is amazing.
So yeah, thanks to Sky and Jeff. I had a friend named Sky. He wasn't really my friend. He was more of an acquaintance that lived in Moreno Valley like 20 years ago. And I don't think it's him, but it's a unique name, and it made me think of that dude Sky. He was a nice guy. Sky was a
cool
nice
ass
guy.
name. If you hear someone named Sky, you're like, I bet they do something cool.
Sky was a cool dude too. He had parties at his house. Parents didn't care.
Yeah.
He's nice and chill. It was dope.
I'm the cool mom.
I'd rather you guys do it here than go out and get in trouble.
Exactly.
I'm going to kick off the show with my first beer. We have some beers that are overlapping here. I've got another non-alcoholic beer from Athletic Brewing Company, and this is the first time I saw this beer and heard of it, unless I missed it on their website sometime. But this is called Wit's Peak. This is their wit beer, and this is coming in at a stunning. It's under 0.5%. So,
wow, that's a strong one, man.
What are you starting off with, Jason?
Jason coming out with another beer, and by God, that's Stone Cold's music.
Nice.
Do the shatter thing. Fuck, we gotta have that queued up. I got me some of Steve Austin's Broken Skull American Lager, not an IPA. The Broken Skull American Lager. It is appropriately cheaper. I was a little bit worried that it's still going to be $16 a 4-pack for, fancy Coors Light. But yeah, this beer was the one I think we talked about recently that they were actually like can facing, highlighting, showing this beer off at WrestleMania. It was the Broken Skull American Lager, which looks exactly like the regular Broken Skull, but says American Lager at the bottom.
Yeah, the IPA has more of a a brownish tint to the entire label, where this one's all white, basically.
I would say it's very easy to confuse the labels, though.
Yeah, I was confused at first too, but then I saw American Lager. I'm like, sweet.
They may trick some people into drinking IPA, and that's okay.
I just saw he posted Steve Austin a photo what Breakfast of Champions, and it was like a bowl of meat with some hot sauce and something else in a fucking IPA at
Oh,
8 in
God.
the morning. I'm like, dude, that's fucking rad.
Nice. Jason's Stone Cold is. I love it. Every time you do that, it's amazing.
Y'all want me to drink a beer? Say what?
What?
Yeah, this looks just like an American lager. It is crystal clear. Good job to El Segundo getting this beer looking this just brilliant, very perfect looking.
Yeah, it's a rad beer. Tim, what do you got to kick off the show, man?
I am kicking off. So I walked into Total Wine last night, like the slacker I am. I went to the beer aisle and I realized, where's all the beer? They've got like half a shelf of beer left in there or something. And I'm like, what's going on here? And apparently
At
they're
Total
doing
Wine?
they're doing
Really?
like the guy up front who seemed pretty clueless was like, we're doing a reset. I'm like, why is there no product though?
Okay.
So like the entire singles wall, like full shelf was all empty. They only had like an island full and like a couple other things. So I just kind of went around and looked and was like, what can I theme out of this? So my theme, which I realize is stupid because this is a podcast. I know we have video, but the whole point is audio. I went with like awesome abstract labels because I'm all about like cool labels. So first up,
Right.
I have Terrabellum. This is a Modern Times.
That is a rad label. It looks like stained glass kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of like an almost like an archway stained glass, sort of like a really psychedelic chapel looking thing. It's pretty rad. It's like on par with what a lot of the new Modern Times cans were doing. I'll say were because who knows how long those cans will be coming out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there any more news on Modern Times? Because the last I heard, they were what is that called?
They're going into receivership, I think.
There you go, receivership. That's it.
Basically, yeah, the bank is calling the shots for them. Like it's hopefully they survive, but they're probably just gonna get scrapped for parts. Unfortunately, like basically they're going down the same path Green Flash did, and Green Flash now only exists as a virtual brand. Their brewing facility's gone. They basically don't exist as a company anymore. They're just a private label, and
Yeah,
hopefully Modern Times fares better, but I'm kind of fearing the worst for them.
yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
I was just gonna say real quick, this Terrabellum, it's a hazy IPA. It's 6.3%.
The company that bought Green Flash, the hell was their name? Saints and Sinners, or Convicts and Criminals, or something like
Green
that.
Flash. No, Green Flash.
Oh, not Green Flash. I'm sorry.
They're the ones that bought Ballast Point. Green Flash got bought by
That's right.
Sweetwater.
That's okay. Yes, that's where I'm getting confused. Okay.
Yeah, Sweetwater Brewing purchased them just in December, not too long ago.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah, they're closing the brewery in San Diego and pretty much going to brand their stuff out of the Sweetwater facility.
I brought the other guys up because I saw them on their Insta for Ballast Point. They promote their brand alongside Ballast Point. It's just weird because it's like now in the tap room, Ballast Point, whatever, and it feels yucky. I don't know.
Well, it's the downside to what happens when you grow too big and then come tumbling down and somebody kind of picks you up just because you got a cool name.
Yeah, I know. It'd be cool if somehow Ballast Point could go back to being truly independent again, not owned by some other brand. But oh well. I mean, at least they're not like being neglected by some big corporate brand that couldn't care less. I mean, that's how it was. If they weren't that, I mean, that's why they got sold, because their product wasn't selling as nearly as well as they thought it would, and it was dump them while you can, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. How's this? So I was going to say earlier. Excuse me, one sec. All right, let me try that again. So I was going to say earlier when you were introducing your athletic, first off, let's hear how it is. And second off, I saw an ad because I think I follow them or I just get ads for that. I don't know, one of the two. I think they have something that came out. It's like a non-alcoholic michelada, and I'm pretty sure it was called Michelada. which I
Nice.
loved as much as I can't. Like, corny branding and wordplay is amazing, and that was really good.
That seems like the perfect beverage for a non-alcoholic beer company to make because, I mean, once you get the beer inside of a michelada, it's not even about the beer at that point, and it's more about the entire, package of that mixed drink, and I think it's perfect. That said, the Wit's Peak, it's good. It's a very subtle wit beer. The nose, I was expecting a little more of like that Belgian wit kind of character. A little more, going on, and it's kind of it could be better.
On
I
a
don't
scale
know.
on a scale of water to Hoegaarden, where are we at?
I mean,
That's a good scale.
halfway, I'd say.
Okay.
Like it's right in the middle. I mean, well, not water, but like from beer to Hoegaarden, like if you want to call it lager or ale to Hoegaarden, I guess you could say ale to Hoegaarden. Then it's right in the middle. You can tell it's a wit. I think if I were to smell this blind without knowing it was a wit, I could definitely tell it was a wit. But it's nothing over the top. It's very, very subtle. And the same goes for the flavor. It's very reminiscent of their golden ale. All in every other way. I mean, it's lighter, definitely. It's more closer to Hoegaarden with a tinge of yellow on it, but it's what I expected. I didn't expect anything over the top, and I got what I expected. It's a good beer, though. I would definitely buy it again. I'm learning from Athletic. I like their lighter styles, the Golden Ale, and now this Wit's Peak. They're just super crushable, just refreshing beverages. You know what I mean? And you get that feeling of drinking a beer too. So overall, I dig it. I think they did a good job.
You guys ever have Coors Banquet?
No, but I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
I have, yes.
That's what this tastes like.
Okay, cool.
Excellent
Moving
description.
on.
I love it. You got Greg. You got Greg on here who's like, it's got hints of tannins and rusty nails, and Jason's like, you remember that shitty beer? Well, this kind of tastes like it.
I mean, it tastes like Coors Heavy. It doesn't taste like Coors Light. It tastes
Yeah.
like the full bodied lager, but it just is a very mild American lager. It's got maybe a little bit more malt than your typical American lagers, but that's about it. There's
It's
not much to
definitely
it.
a more crafty light lager, I'd say. I mean, you got it's 4.8%, at least according to Untapped. I still have a few cans in my fridge. I've purchased this beer like 3 times now, and I'm assuming that El Segundo's they're going to keep it around, and it's not going to go anywhere, just because it's such a cool opportunity to work with such a huge celebrity and someone who's really dedicated to the actual product. Like he likes the beer, so and it turns out the beer's really good too. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I haven't had obviously the American lager. I think that's fairly new, right, Jason?
It just came out recently.
Got it. I remember having the IPA. I think even before it was canned. I think it was in bottles at some point, or was it all? I don't know. Anyway,
it came in bombers first. Yeah.
Yeah, the I remember having that and it being pretty solid. So it's kind of nice to see the line continuing to at least be.
It was actually the first beer El Segundo ever canned. El Segundo was very big on the 22-ounce bomber format, and
yeah, for sure.
The thing was, when they had a Stone Cold beer, Stone Cold needed to go
be able to crush it on his forehead.
He doesn't crush them on his forehead, but he smashes them together, right? Like
it wouldn't be good with the bottles.
Smashes them. Yeah, but it'd be fucking rad if he did it. Just out there with 2 glass bottles, smashes them.
Boom!
And then wrestling starts.
It becomes
a
real hardcore wrestling match at that point.
Like the backyard wrestling videos,
right?
Exactly.
But yeah, they needed Stone Cold was going to drink the beer at WrestleMania, but he needed cans because he couldn't do bottles. So they did like a mobile canning thing, and that was their first ever canned beer run. Was that run of Broken Skull for WrestleMania?
Yeah, it was kind of bumpy for El Segundo with the whole dissolved oxygen and sometimes little not necessarily infection, but you'd get a little diacetyl here and there. It was kind of like rolling the dice, but that was a long time ago, like in beer years anyway. They have their stuff dialed in pretty well, and everything comes in cans now.
So speaking of a long time ago in beer years, I found a beer that is new to this area, but not new to the beer world. So one of the OG craft beer brands, really, Sweetwater 420 Extra Pale Ale.
Whoa. He's gonna drink it, man.
We're just talking about them too.
Yeah, we were just talking about Sweetwater too. They are partially owned by one of the big macros now at this point, I think.
I believe it's not AB. It's whoever. I think it's the other.
They're actually owned. They got bought in 2020 by a company called Afria Inc., which is a Canadian weed company.
Oh yes, thank you. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they both also bought out Green Flash. So Green Flash and Alpine are now owned by this Sweetwater Apria weed.
All right. If they don't
collective.
rebrand, if that weed place doesn't rebrand Green Flash as a dispensary, then they're missing out on some major like
Dude,
branding.
Alpine
Green
already
Flash.
had a bunch of weed branded beers. So they had like windows up, and they had that one that was like literally just like, you know, Lemon Haze OG or whatever the fuck. Like,
Oh yeah,
just straight up weed names. But I've never had this beer, according to Untapped, and this is from the era when I definitely would have checked in. I've never actually drank one of these, so
I don't believe I have either.
You guys can go around an intro, and I'll talk about this in a sec.
All right, my next beer. Speaking of El Segundo Brewing Company, this is a beer that they did in collaboration with a band who's already done a beer collab. I can't remember who they did it with. I think it was an Orange County brewery, but this is called Unknown Road. And Unknown Road, that's the name of the band Pennywise's second album, which in my opinion is one of the best punk rock albums ever. It's I have a lot of great memories of going to Pennywise shows. The last one I went to, I forgot. It was at an arena in LA, not the Forum, but the smaller sports arena that's like right next to the freeway.
Wait.
I mean, the LA Sports Arena.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, the LA Sports Arena.
The Coliseum?
No, it wasn't the Coliseum. It was another one. I forget.
The
It was
LA
like 20
Sports
years
Arena.
ago.
It's called something else now. It's got a corporate brand, but it's the one in Carson.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Where the Galaxy plays.
That's the
now.
Galaxy's place.
But the last time I went there, it's an album and it's also a song called Unknown Road. I went with my friend who was like really tight in the South Bay punk rock scene, and he was really close friends with Pennywise, and he got us like backstage passes and all this stuff. Got to go to the show for free. It was fucking dope. But
that's awesome.
When Pennywise was going to start playing, I went out to the crowd, and the singer of the band, who was my friend, his band, they were called the One-Handed Readers, by the way, which is a great band. Great name too. It's Masturbation, in case you didn't get it. The singer, like Pennywise starts playing this song. They opened with Unknown Road, and like everyone just erupted when they started playing. And I remember he looked at me, he like gave me a look like, fuck yeah. And I was like, oh, it was, I get chills thinking about it. It was so cool, but it's such a great song. Never heard Unknown Road is a great song. So
Brew Him was right there though.
I want to say they called it. I know. I got the joke. I got the pun, but I got to find out who that other brewery was. Oh, Lost Coast. It was called Pennywiser. That's what it was. It was an IPA, a session IPA. So this goes back. It looks like they still make it. Someone checked into it in January. So Lost Coast doesn't make nearly as much sense as El Segundo, because El Segundo is in the South Bay and Pennywise is from Redondo Beach, as far as I can remember. So
you know what? I had that beer. I remember that label. I Googled it now. Also, it says on that label the Bro Him of beers. So
that's what, okay. That's so it's so
no wonder they're not calling it Brew Him.
I just get douche chills thinking about that. beer. I don't know. And the beer was fine. I mean,
Like, this isn't Pennywise's fault, but I always assume, like, if I see like a broy looking dude in a Pennywise shirt, that guy's gonna drink 41 beers and then fall around the pit trying to fight people. Like,
yeah, that's
that's my
accurate.
association with Pennywise.
Yeah. So
Guy's
I
gonna-
was
Gonna get absolutely shit mixed and then just fucking go out into the crowd and make everyone's life hell.
Yeah, I was stoked to see this though. They just basically took the album cover for Unknown Road and made that the label. Like they didn't really overthink it. They called the beer Unknown Road. You can see Pennywise, their logo, kind of right there, and
Mm-hmm.
They
the round
fucking
circle logo.
superimposed it.
I mean, everything about this beer, I saw it and I got excited. I was like, oh wow, cool, sugar cookies, and I had to buy it. So, Tim, what are you drinking?
Let's see. I have moved on to another cool label. Bunch of random colored triangles here, making a cool pattern. I've got Beechwood's Hop Tangle.
Tangled up in hops.
And the pattern is just kind of interlocking triangles that are various kind of primary colors and little like hatched
Little
patterns and
textures
stuff.
here, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very Beechwood label.
It is, and it's very cool. This is actually a West Coast pale at 7.1.
How old is that beer? Because I remember having it a few months ago.
Okay, so hold on, going back really quick. That Modern Times that I had, I looked at it. That's from November,
Oof.
and then this Beechwood is from January.
It's not bad, I guess. I mean,
I
4 months.
guess.
It's a little older than I'd like.
It's brewed with Idaho 7, Laurel, and Pato. Haven't seen that before.
Pato.
Pahto.
Pato. Potato hops.
I thought that was Idaho 7.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel odd. That feels odd. Anyway, it's pretty. This is good old West Coast IPA. It's clear and golden. It actually, if you look at this, you'd probably think it's something lighter, maybe not so much on the IPA scale, but it's really solid. I mean, Beechwood makes some really nice IPAs in general. On top of all the other stuff they're good at, I think their IPAs come out pretty.
Oh, they're
pretty
well
nice.
known for their IPA. Like that's what put Julian on the map as a home brewer. I think was it Melrose that was his really popular homebrew IPA.
I think Melrose was the one. Yeah, that was the original kind of basis for the. I think they use Melrose as the base for like Amalgamator and Citraholic and stuff too. I think they're all very similar recipes.
That beer was so desired, so legendary when he was a home brewer. Like he would have a party at his house to tap the kegs, and like there'd be 30 people there, and it was an event. That's
awesome.
Pretty cool. So they're well known for their IPA.
Yeah, and I mean, even at 70 IBUs, it's not at all like an overwhelming bitterness. Like it's not a West Coast gonna murder your palate sort of situation. But it's like it's I don't know, it's just like a perfect amount. So
this Sweetwater beer, it's interesting to try this beer after having it, knowing of it for so long and never having had it. It is, I've drank a lot of it. It's very crushable. It is pretty light in color overall. It looks very much like a West Coast interpretation. There's a little bit of malt in there, but we're not talking like even like a Sierra Nevada pale level of malt. Like it is very light in color. According to what I looked up online, it does have a little bit of Munich and 40 Lovibond caramel malt, but it's a Centennial and Cascade hop beer, so it's very old school in the hops. But what surprises me is how dry it is. Being from the East Coast and they brag that they brewed this beer in 97, so this is a 25-year-old recipe. Damn. I would expect way more malt. I would expect much more in the vein of like a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale or like, the old Dogfish stuff where you've got a ton of caramel malt to like offset the bitterness of the hops. This is very dry and really drinkable. Actually, I'm pretty happy that I bought a 6-pack of this. And this is not super fresh. This has a drink by date of June 18th. Which is, a month from now. So it's getting on the older side, but it tastes pretty goddamn good and drinkable.
It probably
No wonder they became a large regional off this fucking beer.
the pallets of beer were probably stuck in a Freedom Convoy truck that finally got to LA.
That's right.
I will say the like Sweetwater was a get for a while. Back when I first started into like the beer scene, if you will. I have a buddy who's in Georgia, and it was one of those things like we didn't get out here, and so to get a 420 or anything else from Sweetwater was like, oh, this is awesome. It's like West Coast goodness, and that was I think that was pre-buy out.
I think in general it was pretty. It was kind of fun in the day where you would trade your large regionals with other people because they were so regionalized that you were just like, yeah, we can't get the big stuff in Georgia, and it would be worthwhile to trade Green Flash for Sweetwater because they're both easily available for us, but there were very few brands that were nationally available 10 years ago.
Yeah, those were the good old days when like beer trading wasn't difficult.
Like I remember when, Bell's and Founders didn't used to be in our market at all. Like, seeing stuff like Half Acre or Sweetwater here. These are brands that, 10 years ago, these were just solid regional brands that you could only get in, a third or a quarter of the country or less. So the rest of us, they were kind of a nice little treat. But nowadays, everybody's a little bit more widely distributed.
And we're better for it, I think. I mean, it was cool to try new beers from different areas that you couldn't get your hands on, but I'd much rather have the option to just go out and buy it if I can. So that is a cool byproduct of time passing and laws changing and breweries getting bigger and blah, blah, blah. So going back to my beer from El Segundo in Pennywise, this is a golden ale. And I just now noticed that it was a golden ale on the label. When I picked it up, I couldn't find anywhere on the label where it said what it was.
I just assumed it was an IPA, right?
Well, I looked at the alcohol.
It's El Segundo. What else would it be?
Well, I looked at it's 5% alcohol, so I thought, well, it might be an IPA, but I don't think El Segundo would make a 5% hoppy IPA beer. I don't know. So I assumed it was like a lager or something because it's Pennywise, and I mean, they're not out here drinking IPA. It's a golden ale. So
if we're gonna follow the trend, Pennywise, probably everybody in the band is like 10 years sober, but they're like,
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's the trend of every band with a beer. That they're like, I don't drink beer anymore because I woke up in somebody's child's bed one time. But
well, it's like the beer that Metallica did with Stone Brewing Company. It was Lars and Robert, their bass player.
Trujillo,
that went on the media tours because James won't. I mean, he just got out of rehab because he got off the wagon and had to, I think this was pre-COVID. He had to go back to rehab because he started drinking again. But he's struggled with alcohol for a very long time, and it's widely known, and he's talked about it. And so when they did a beer, like James, I think I saw him in one photo, and I think he was just holding a 4-pack or something, and he had a funny look on his face, but you could tell he was there because he had to be there because they were promoting the beer, and that's it. He didn't want anything else to do with the thing because that's not his scene anymore. But yeah, I agree, Jason. That's usually how it goes with bands and beers. This one, it is a golden ale though. Kind of disappointed with the head retention on this. It burns right off. It's not creamy. It's very much like latticey kind of bubble structure that just burns right off. And I mean, if that's what they're going for, I guess they nailed it. It looks like a cheap lager. Maybe it's a little more yellow, but
are golden ales usually higher in ABV? Does 5.0 seem normal?
Golden ale, I think you might be thinking of like a Belgian strong golden.
Okay, probably mixing it up.
But
there.
Golden ale is basically like honestly a bit of an anachronism at this point. It was kind of like, I'm running a local craft brewery and we don't have a lager program, so we're gonna make the light beer ale that we can make, so we have something to give the guy who asked for Bud Light, right?
Yeah.
Like,
okay, that makes sense.
It's like baby's first home brew when you get into home brewing. It's a really simple beer to make.
it's kind of, I would say blonde ale and golden ale are just two terms for the same basic thing.
Yeah, I think blonde is basically, I mean, a golden ale is like a heavy blonde ale, I guess, because a blonde, they're widely known as being very uninteresting and easy to drink, and nothing really much going on with them. Where a golden, especially in the case of this one, on the nose, this smells very sweet. It smells kind of like candy, and I want to think that's a hop thing because it's, as far as malts goes, it doesn't look like anything much is going on. So it's a combo, I think, of whatever strain of yeast they're using and the hop that they chose, because it smells almost like candy. I was kind of taken back by how aromatic it actually is. That being said, about the nose, it doesn't really follow on the flavor. It tastes like a golden ale. Not much going on. Body is fine. Carbonation's fine, even though the head burns right off. It's what I expected for a Pennywise beer. Not from an El Segundo beer, though. I kind of and I don't mean this as a diss on El Segundo. Maybe this is what Pennywise wanted and El Segundo delivered. But I just feel like it was a missed opportunity to make something a little more interesting.
I had that beer yesterday. I bought some. I think we shopped the same store. So it just feels wholly unremarkable to me. It feels very much like a shot at the 805 crowd.
It's
right?
like I think it's a more aromatic, more flavorful 805. I would agree with you on that. Yeah.
And that's fine. It's a fine beer, but again, it's just fine. I've never loved 805. I don't love that style. I think they're just kind of bland. They're not as crisp as a lager, which is kind of the appeal of lager. So you lose out on the main thing that you get out of a lager, and it's just kind of a worse lager, in my opinion. I think it's balanced on the finish as far as dryness and sweetness goes, but you do have a lingering sweetness that I think is appropriate for the style. It's a well-crafted beer. It's nothing on El Segundo as far as that goes. But that said, if I were to go to a Pennywise show again and they had this backstage, I would happily drink it because it's probably going to be the most interesting beer backstage. The other option is Coors Light, and nothing wrong with Coors Light. I'll drink Coors Light too. It's almost close to drinking water, but they got a guy that really likes Tecate there. Maybe you got some of that. I don't know.
This might be good in like a mixed drink as well, like a michelada. Now that we're talking about that, because it's got enough flavor to kind of change things in a mixed, like in a beer cocktail kind of drink. So I will give them credit. It's not a boring golden ale. It's got stuff going on, and it's not what I expected. But again, I don't know what's Pennywise what are they gonna make? Another IPA? I mean, they already did one with Lost Coast, so I don't know. Overall, though, I'm happy I got it. Happy I picked it up. Happy to see it on shelves.
So, the counterpoint to this.
What did we want? Is Tim done?
What?
Did you finish up your thoughts on the Beechwood?
Yeah,
beer?
I think so.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, I think I did before.
Okay, sorry, Jason. Carry on.
So I'm trying to mix up and not just do California beers for once. So I got Sweetwater. We're going down. They're from Georgia, I think, right? Yeah. And going to Maine with me Maine men, Allagash. They have a Swiftly IPA, which has really kind of cool looking, like drawing of a hop plant on it. Kind of like a hop plant against like a starry, moony, weird background.
It's not your normal Allagash label. It's got a little more going on, but still simple and what's the word I'm looking for? Simple and sophisticated looking, I guess, because Allagash tends to be like that, be very proper with their labels.
So. Now they call this an amber-colored IPA. This shit looks like Arrogant Bastard. It is just.
Oh, does the can say IPA? It says Swiftly IPA.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so you said that, and then I saw you holding up the glass. I think Jason picked up the wrong beer.
It looks like If
holy crap! From here, it looks like a brown ale.
It looks like a barley wine.
Oh yeah, there you go, barley wine.
There is a lot of caramel malt in here.
That's actually kind of interesting. I'm curious. I'm curious now. I gotta know.
Even this is like even by like 2008 Oregon standards, this is a lot of caramel malt.
It is. It's pretty dark.
What else you guys? What do you guys got next?
Let's see. I don't want to open that one, so I'll go with this one. My next beer is from Vitamin C Brewing. It's called Draw the Line. I first heard of Vitamin C from our friend Joe Senegalia on his YouTube channel, Joe's Arcade. And this was at La Bodega, so I picked it up. And it's a hazy. Again, not really stoked on drinking hazies these days, but Joe, I remember him saying a lot of good things about Vitamin C. And it's Vitamin C as in SEA, like water, like an ocean. Vitamin C Brewing. But it also kind of works with the hazy things because vitamin C, you think of like orange juice and
citrus.
I don't know. That's what I think of when I hear vitamin C. But this beer is called Draw the Line.
A good Aerosmith song. An album.
And the label does not reflect anything Aerosmith.
It's one of those old school skateboards, the like smaller, pointier ones.
Yeah.
And it looks like somebody wearing like early 80s, late 70s skater gear.
It says VSB on the shirt, Vitamin C Brewing. Cool label. It's basically, if you're not watching the video, it's like a starburst rainbow thing happening behind a hand-drawn figure of someone with long hair on a skateboard. And it kind of works with the Pennywise beer, right? Because skate punk and all that, right?
I associate like that reminds me. I just watched that Tony Hawk Until the Wheels Fall Off documentary.
I gotta watch that. Yeah.
And in the first part of it, the late 70s, early 80s, like that looks like it would be just a stylized version of one of those photos. So
yeah, Tony Hawk's one of those guys that you bring him up. Like, has he ever done anything wrong? Has he ever wronged anyone, or like he's never been in like a scandal? He just seems like an overall nice
seems like
guy.
A pretty chill dude. Yeah.
Just you want to hang out with, and I mean, I can't skateboard, so I wouldn't skateboard with him. But I don't know. Well, I don't know what I'd do with him. Maybe play some video games. But he just seems like a nice guy.
Like, hey, Tony Hawk, this game's about you. You want to play it?
That was, I mean, let's not lie. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 has one of the best soundtracks of any video game ever.
Dude, right. I was introduced to.
We're gonna go to Tony Hawk and just start fucking acapella singing Goldfinger songs.
Here I am,
feeling younger in my mind. Why are you moving like that? It's skanking, man. It's skanking.
Tim, what do you got next?
Oh gosh. Let's see. This is some wacky label shit.
Another Modern Times beer
with their wild, like kind of like one of those really skinny starfish, except with some other weird wiggly lines coming out of it.
It's kind of a pinwheel. It's like spaghetti thrown in a pinwheel. Yeah, but the spaghetti's making like kind of the outline of a flower. And in the middle is the Modern Times logo.
It looks cool. I like it. It's very it makes me feel calm. Is that weird? Oh.
That's what the point is. Stare into the center.
It's the Hypnotoad, actually.
There you go. I'm gonna just like fall over.
Nice. So this is something called Solar Republic. I hadn't heard of this before. It's a double India Pale Ale 8.0, kind of in the same wheelhouse that Modern Times tends to do with most of the stuff going on there. When I looked it up to scan it to send it over for our pre-show notes, I did note that it only has like 73 check-ins right now on Untapped. I don't have a date as to when it was added, but I was like, wow, this is I'm going
to bring this up real quick. Untapped. I know you're not associated with them anymore, Tim, but if you're not paying for Untapped, my God, their website is just throw up of ads. It is horrendous.
I'll be honest. I haven't seen it because I still got it.
I don't pay for Untapped.
Well, maybe if you're not logged in, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, that might be it.
I'm not logged in, but I also have ad blockers.
Because I don't, and I'm logged in. I don't see anything.
Yeah, one of the things to paying for Untapped is you don't get ads. And I still pay for it, or I think I do. But my God, it's whatever version of Untapped, whether it's if you're not logged in or you're not paying for it. Because sometimes when especially when I update like iOS, it'll kick me out and I have to log back in. But when I went to go add these beers to our document, literally on the left side, on the right side, on the bottom, and they're like not nice looking ads. It's like Google AdSense throw up. Like it's just disgusting. I understand they got to make money, but it's got to feel horrible to put that shit on your website because it just ruins the whole aesthetic. That's my little rant about Untapped.
Thanks.
Not your fault, Tim.
It's okay.
Or is it?
I don't know.
Hopped LA chiming in saying it's when you're not logged in. And yeah, I just threw it in incognito mode. And yeah, there's ugly ads. But when I'm logged in, there's none.
Okay, then that's what it was. All right, well, then I will pull back on my comment and my hate just a little bit. But Jesus fucking Christ. I guess they're going for that money if you're not logged in. Like, who fucking cares? If someone's just going to the site to reference something, then have at it. But oh boy, it's bad. Anyway.
So this beer is weird. This Swiftly IPA. It's got Cascade Chinook, so old school hops, meets Mosaic and Simcoe. But honestly, I would say the closest analog, like the Evil Dead Red from AleSmith.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very much in that vein where where like the old school red IPA kind of flavor is what you're getting out of this beer.
Maybe I'm seeing it wrong, but does it have like a caramel colored head as well? Am I seeing that correctly?
No, a little bit. I guess it's not as, there's a little bit more color to it but it's showing a little more brown on the camera than it does in real life.
Okay.
Is it more brown or more red?
I mean, there's a little bit of just kind of a brownish color to the head. Again, because look at how much fucking caramel malt is in here.
Yeah. I remember Evil Dead Red. That was pretty good, actually.
It's still a great beer.
If you like caramel malt, AleSmith.
AleSmith, sorry.
Yeah. Evil Dead Red and then My Bloody Valentine.
Yes, that's the one I remember.
They're kind of the same beer. I don't know. I'd be hard pressed to tell them apart. They come out 6 months apart, but I think they're just the same basic recipe. But it's very much in that vein. Kind of hard to drink a lot of. It's a little cloying. Really? Because there's so much caramel malt. It just sticks to your palate, and it's like drinking Arrogant Bastard, where you've got all that sticky caramel malt going all over your palate, and then it's almost like the Chinook hop character in Cascade is like sticking onto the roof of your mouth, and you're just like, man, this beer is just hanging out, and it's a beer that's like a meal. It's very old school in the
I know
approach,
that
for sure.
The season won't affect the beer itself, but do you think maybe that's a beer that should come out in the winter time or like holiday-ish time? It just seems like it shouldn't be a springtime beer.
It does seem like kind of like a wintry IPA. I mean, there's a reason AleSmith does those kind of caramel malt heavy IPAs in the fall and winter, and it does seem more appropriate for that time. It's like you want an IPA, but you want something with a little bit more heft. It's low alcohol. It's only 6.5%, so it's not high for an IPA. But I'm glad I only bought one. Let's just say that it's not a bad beer, but it's just hard to drink a lot of. It's challenging in the way IPA used to be.
Not in a good way.
But you know what? The problem is that I like the bite with a big crispness. With the West Coast IPA, you get a bite with a crisp finish, and you get it kind of cleans the palate up. But with these heavy caramel malt IPAs, it lingers on your palate, and you've just got that hop bitterness just kind of hanging out in your mouth.
And that's the challenge, right? It's cleaning all that up is the challenge. What makes it challenging? So I can see that.
It's okay, but again, it feels like a blast from the past. It's very reminiscent of, again, Arrogant Bastard, Evil Dead Red, that kind of beer. If you want like a less aggressive Arrogant Bastard, that's kind of what this is.
It's kind of
on nice a related note. A casino in Pahrump where I was at for a race car event a couple weeks ago had like 8 drafts, and one of them was Double Bastard.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like blast from the past, like tap.
Right?
tap.
Right? I was like, did I go through a fucking time machine? You have like 8 taps and one of them's double bastard?
And it's probably fresh double bastard, I would assume. Unless they're hanging on to kegs, which you can
Right?
technically do with. I think I have a 2002 double bastard that Dr. Bill gave me in my
Yeah, it
fridge.
ages well.
But yeah, that's crazy to see on tap. Double bastard.
Yeah. It was called Poorhouse, which makes you think it's like a high-end brew pub. Indian food.
Huh. Okay.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
pour like POUR house?
Yeah, Poorhouse.
But they just serve Indian. That's kind of a refreshing change of pace. You know what I mean?
No
it's
wings
just-
and fries. Just
Yeah.
Parump's just fucking weird. I wouldn't recommend it.
They got a weird name too. Parump. I don't know. That's why I want to hear Parump.
It just makes me think of the Christmas song. Was it a little drummer? What parum bum bum bum?
That's right.
It's nice. I was gonna say it's kind of nice to see you doing something from Allagash because they were like real hot again. If we go back in time in beer years, like it was real hot for a long time, and then I don't even remember the last time I had anything from them. And if I did,
I
it was
think-
probably something like the Grand Cru or like one of their like
I mean,
big bottles.
A beer geek is drinking Allagash White, and like that's their crusher from like the East Coast because it's just such a well-made beer. That's what I usually get from Allagash, the new stuff. I see it when I go to Gerard's and Redlands, but I typically don't buy their new stuff, and I don't really have a reason why. I just stick to the stuff I know with Allagash.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of East Coast brands, they don't have as big of a presence out here anymore now that there's so much more competition.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
don't see their stuff nearly as much as you used to.
Going back to my beer from Vitamin C, Draw the Line.
Anybody else in the age range where vitamin C just makes you think of the graduation song?
Yeah.
The singer vitamin
As
C.
we go,
Thank God.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll be friends forever, Tim.
Yeah.
I don't know that song, unfortunately.
Really?
No, I
Is
don't.
John the older one right now?
That's
I'm
right.
the oldest one. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, so
40, almost
explains it.
43.
That's
Do I
right.
look 43? I don't think I look 43.
No, you don't, John. You look great.
40 is the new 30, John.
This is a fantastic beer. Again, I don't typically gravitate towards hazy IPA, but this is fantastic. It's made with Nelson and Raquel hops, and it's really good. Getting the normal, the usual bad things out of the way as far as like a gritty mouthfeel or a hop burn, none of that. It's got the perfect finish for a hazy that I want, something that's kind of mouth coating, but also dry and nice. Really, really fruity on the flavor and the nose. Definitely, even though it's only 2 hops, definite hop schmear thing happening. If anything, it's really pulpy orange on the nose, which I like. It gives it a bit of a sharpness on the nose. No like malt character really that's standing out like as far as the white cake batter. Just a really well done beer. It's 6.8%, and I feel like I could drink a whole can of this and like be good as far as like not feeling like I worked through the can. It's a really good beer. To the point where I'm gonna buy more stuff from Vitamin C if I see it.
And what was the
locally.
beer called again?
Draw the Line?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yep. So good job, Vitamin C. Keep it up.
Yay. Real quick, this Solar Republic. I don't know, like I've had many a Modern Times beers. I've been to several of their tap rooms and hung out for quite a while and tried pretty much everything on their tap board. And this just falls right in line with what I would expect, like the middle of the, not middle of the road in terms of quality, but just like if you were to find an average in their beers and their hazy IPAs, you'd probably fall into this Solar Republic. It's, kind of murky. It's that sort of golden orangey hazy that you'd expect. When I first poured it, it had really good head retention.
It's got some nice lacing on the glass too. It's
Yeah.
always good to see.
Yeah, and it drinks really easy. Like I feel like a lot of unless you hit on something that's like really heavy, pretty much every IPA I've had from Modern Times is a pretty easy drinker.
Man, I feel like we're just I'm getting kind of sad, like we're witnessing the death of a brewery because we don't know what's going to happen with modern times. I mean, I'm optimistic. I'm hoping they can.
I'm
do
just thinking
something.
that gif of Robert Downey Jr. from Tropic Thunder, just like me at modern times, just like survive.
yeah, and that's I don't know. It's one of those. It's just another story of like nobody really. I don't think anybody necessarily saw it coming, and then pandemic just really threw a wrench in everyone's plans. And when you expand too quickly and then suddenly everything shuts down, what the fuck are you gonna do at that point?
Yeah, exactly.
So fingers crossed that something good comes of them. Until then, what I assume they're gonna. I assume even under whatever the red. What'd you say, Jason? That they're under
receivership.
Even under receiver.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they're still going to be producing something, I assume, because you can't.
Well, they
it's not
still
like
are.
Yeah, they didn't just shut down. So just keep
Yeah.
hanging out. I don't know. I think this is a pretty solid one.
I wouldn't doubt if things did go south that the owners would go for something new, because they've got talent working there, and they have good recipes, and they know how to run a business, even though they are in receivership now. So I wouldn't be surprised if something new sprouted up if they did go out of business.
That's an interesting question there too, is if you develop a recipe at a brewery, if you create something at a company that you work for and they own it, right? So you create a recipe for the brewery, and then you leave the brewery and you go somewhere else. With cooking, what do you like riff one ingredient and you call it different, right?
Well, I think a good example is Alpine, and now they're called, the owners have a new brewery called McElhaney Brewing.
Yeah,
and their Nelson. What's the name of their Nelson beer?
Months.
There you go.
Because Nelson. That's just like a finger in your face.
Technically, Green Flash / Sweetwater, they own the recipe for Nelson from Alpine. But I wouldn't be surprised if this recipe, I guarantee it's not the same, because they probably improved on it, if anything.
Yeah.
But it's inspired by that beer, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you can only make your beer so unique. You know what I mean?
That's what I was going to say.
It's all the same base ingredients.
Yeah.
I think what homebrewing taught me really is that the recipe is only, not even half of the equation, right? There really is a skill into making beer, especially hoppy beer, well. I mean, not just hoppy beer, making lagers or making sour beer. They all require specialized knowledge and good practices to really produce a quality product, and the recipe doesn't get you there. So, I guarantee, you can get the recipe for Pliny the Elder and Blind Pig. They publish it. You can go make it.
It's
good luck.
Just like when Bob put out the recipe for Windsor Homebrew for Timbo. It was Timbo, right? I believe. I'm almost positive it was Timbo. And when you read the recipe, he put a lot of detail in there as far as his process goes. It wasn't just a list of ingredients with mash temperatures and boil times and hop additions. That he was very specific about how he makes Timbo, which is great because homebrewers can learn from that and go, I wonder why I did that. Or, you could probably ask him and he'd tell you why, but I think he explained it pretty well in the recipe too. But it's all about execution.
Yeah.
And that's where that's where the talent comes in.
It makes me imagine trademark court where the jury gets here's a pint of Nelson and here's a pint of Muntz. You must determine if they're the same or not.
I would be on that jury. That sounds fun.
They are pretty. There's definitely less color in Muntz.
Sure.
It's more of a yellow color than the old Nelson was there's a little bit of a caramel color to it.
Yeah. And you do make a point, you're always going to be improving or altering, but it's an interesting thing to think about. If you do leave and start a new brewery, how much knowledge can you take until you somebody wants to get Sue happy? So that's kind of interesting.
I can't think of a situation where there's ever been you stole our secret recipe.
Yeah, it's more the branding aspect of things that people get their panties in a twist over. So
yeah.
So this
Jason's
beer,
speaking of panties in a twist.
Speaking of getting my panties in a twist, Pizza Port has a new IPA out.
Oh,
And that normally would never upset me because Pizza Port IPAs are always great. But this is a hazy.
I have it too.
the leading producers of, I would say, the flag bearers of West Coast IPA in San Diego,
Indeed.
they're making their first canned hazy. Now, it's not the first hazy Pizza Port's ever made. If you go to their pubs, they've made probably literally every style in the BJCP, and
For sure. Yeah.
plus 19 variants of each one too. I'm pretty sure they've actually meddled in hazy IPA from the pubs.
Probably.
But this is the first packaged hazy IPA they've ever done. It is Simcoe and Sabro hops, 7% ABV.
Yeah, this beer is called Ocean Air.
Yeah.
And I trust that you're correct, Jason. But for some reason, when I saw hazy IPA, I thought, okay, so I'll buy any new Pizza Port beer. Like if they're going to put it in a can, it's going to be good. But I was slightly disappointed that it was a hazy IPA because I was like, I'd rather just have another really good IPA. But I'll buy it anyway because it's Pizza Port and it's going to be good. But it didn't occur to me that this was the first time I saw a hazy from Pizza Port in packaging.
I'm pretty sure canned it's the first time they've done a hazy. Yeah.
Do you feel like you're gonna like when a band goes to a big label right now? You feel like sad, like they're selling out?
No. I mean, everybody's gonna do a hazy. It sells, right? It's fine. I don't care.
Hey
Sure.
there, hazy boy.
Honestly, that doesn't even. It's coming across from you pretty golden.
Yeah, I mean, it's got that kind of milky consistency to it. It looks kind of like a wit beer. It doesn't have that murk to it that a lot of the dodgier hazies get.
Yeah, this very much looks like a hazy inspired by their region. Like San Diego, I think overall, aside from the smaller breweries that can throw just barrels of hops and whatever pounds per barrel into beers, Pizza Port is they're small enough to be a local brewery, but big enough to be a big brewery that distributes a lot of beer to the point where they'd have to really refine their recipe to not be so extravagant with their hop usage.
And it looks like
flamboyant.
It looks like one of those like hazy IPAs that you're getting more of the essence of hazy as opposed to just literally like milky cream hop schmear.
Yeah, I mean, I still have some of this beer left over from Vitamin C, and I got to say, just going back briefly, after this beer from Vitamin C warms up a little bit, you get way more of like a juicy character from the flavor. It's an incredible beer. I think it had a 4.17 on Untapped, and or 4.12, and it's well deserved. But comparing it to that, the nose on the Vitamin C beer is way over the top as far as the juice goes, and like the hazy nose character, where this is definitely more in line with something that, I mean, I think Stone would do, like Stone's hazy IPA, the one that has like the psychedelic colors on it. It's like purple and green and purple, green, and I don't know, reddish. It's called hazy IPA from what I remember. That's a really good hazy IPA, and this is more along those lines where it's just everything's kind of dialed back. It's not going to be anything hype worthy. At the same time, though, I think it falls in line with a good Pizza Port IPA. It's not Swami's, but it's a very drinkable, delicious, well-made IPA.
The hops still have a bite in this beer. They're not just kind of a vague hoppy flavor that gets out of the way and washes off your palate. There's still a little bit of a bite. It doesn't have nearly that bitter bite that you get out of like a Swami's, but there's a little bit more bite here than your traditional hazy IPA, which I think really helps. I really like a hoppy beer with a bite at the end. So
yeah, I see that. Yeah, definitely. It's a West Coast hazy. It's what you would expect from a brewery that is used to making, or well known for making, really good West Coast IPA.
It is a little sweeter. It is a little softer mouthfeel. It's not as dry. I think it does have the things to appeal to your hazy IPA buyer, but it's still a pizza port. It's not going to be like that modern times hazy IPA where it's going to be very sweet and very kind of fluffy and lighter. You know, this beer still has a bit of aggressiveness, a bit of bite, and a bit of brightness, honestly, to it that I really like. So
I think the big question is, which pizza do you think would pair best with it?
Oh, I'm not good at pairing. I just pair my favorite thing with my favorite thing.
Okay, what's your go-to pizza at Pizza Port?
The Carlsbad.
And what's the Carlsbad?
You might need to remind.
Carlsbad is pesto instead of red sauce, and then it has sun-dried tomatoes, chicken.
With the
artichoke hearts.
Yes, that's the one I get. Yeah, high
feta
five.
cheese
Woo!
on the top. Yeah, it's fucking bomb.
The only downside that I had last time was somebody went a little heavy-handed on the feta, but holy shit, that's my favorite one too.
But their pepperoni is also just baller. I think I posted when I was down there a couple of weeks ago that I got 2 slices of pizza for $5, and it was half a fucking pepperoni pizza. It was just only cut twice. It was nice.
Tim, you got a beer to wrap things up with?
You know, I had a fourth, and honestly, I don't know. It'd be going in like reverse ABV order because it's a Berliner Weiss, and I'm not sure that I want to go there.
Okay.
it.
Do you just want to want me to ignore that you didn't have anything, or you want to carry on?
Do it. I'll drink this shitty kombucha thing with it.
Okay, fine. Hold on. Let me clear my glass.
Well, I don't have another beer, so I'm going to hang back then and let you two.
This has Pixie tangerine extract.
Oh, great! What the hell is that?
I don't know.
All right, I'll kick this off for you. All right, so last up here, because I decided to go in some sort of weird, let's do all of the heavy IPAs first and then just end on something super light, which makes no sense. I have Not Enormous from the brewery whose name I will never pronounce right.
That was my nickname in high school. Hey.
It's just Society.
Is it
We live in
Society?
Society, yeah.
Yeah, see, I always want to be like Societe because I don't.
Society.
Yeah, I don't go for the Y end name. This is a 3% Berliner Weiss. They say it's bubbly, tart, and refreshing. So we'll see how that holds up after having 3 different IPAs. But you can see again, keeping with like the weird sort of abstract-y label. This is more. I can't remember there's a name for this sort of style, but it's like kind of viney, flowery, like mirror pattern.
So speaking of bubbly tart beers that are inappropriate, oh hi.
Oh hi, Mark.
No,
it's not focusing. It's too.
It doesn't
blurred.
like it. It's too bright. It's too goddamn powerful.
Oh jeez.
Oh hi is New Belgium plus Flying Embers kombucha.
Oh, they opened their tap room a few months ago in downtown. I'm actually kind of interested to check that out.
Flying Embers based in Ojai, which is why this beer is called.
Oh, that's where okay, that makes sense.
It is a blend of hard kombucha tea and sour beer with pixie tangerine extract and sage. All right.
Where is Ojai?
Ojai, it's north of Ventura up to 33. So if you go to Ventura, take the 33 north, you'll end up there eventually. It's a small town. It's kind of artsy, hippie-ish, also partially like Richie retreat for celebrities. Bezos had his like Amazon party at the Ojai Valley Inn. I had a girlfriend who lived there at one point when I went to college at Ventura.
I drove through there when I went on vacation a couple months ago, just because we were driving on the 33 through Los Padres National Forest.
Tim, you got a lot of head on that Berliner Weiss.
Yeah, the can kind of exploded a little, not exploded, but it bubbled out pretty quick. And then when I poured it, it was just like super fluffy. This is like big bubbles, but it's very firm looking.
Yeah, there's like an inch of like meringue head on that beer.
It seems like it may be can conditioned because it seems like it's got a little overcarbonated. Not, I mean, I'm sure it's intended, but it seems like it's very bubbly.
Canned in January. My hands are all sticky now.
Well, so pixie tangerines are apparently an Ojai thing.
Oh, go figure.
They're grown in Ojai, California, so this beer has like a terroir, which is actually kind of fun for New Belgium because they're a national brewery. This isn't being made in Ojai; it's being made by New Belgium.
Yeah, I wonder
So-
how they. I mean, I'm sure they explain on the website or something how they got involved with each other, but it's. I mean, of all places, Ventura-ish area for New Belgium to get involved with, just it strikes me as odd.
Their owners see the same intuitive medium, so they both.
That would make a lot of sense. See, what's funny to me is like John's like, I don't know, where's Ojai? And I'm like, well, it's here, and it's like this place where all the people, like the writers, go to like retreat and like get away from everyone because it's a pretty sleepy town. And I've been there so many times; it just seems so funny. But it would make perfect sense that some hard kombucha place would come out of there. And I only know Flying Ember because I get a bunch of ads for them on Instagram, and then I read about them opening their hard kombucha tap room in Arts District recently.
Oh, that's cool.
This beer scared me a little because I don't like kombucha all that much.
It's a little too hippy dippy for you.
No, it just generally tends to have kind of funky butyric flavors in it that I don't care for.
Yeah, I agree.
They're at low levels, but even a low level of throw up is too much. And
Any throw up is too much throw up.
yeah, this is a really good blend. It's really cool. It's just kind of a tart beer blended with kombucha with a little bit of fruit. But they didn't go crazy on anything. It's New Belgium, right? They're not about excess in their beers. It's really well balanced. Pretty good. And fun note from Hopped LA. They
that's
took
where
over
it
the
is.
old
Okay.
Iron Triangle space, which is
All right.
I heard that was actually a really cool spot.
It
so-
was a cool
was.
spot for a very piece of shit owner.
Yeah,
Don't
brewery.
even. Let's not go back to that because I still have annoyance with that.
It's a bottle share playa.
Did they do some fuckery with Untapped or something?
No fuckery. We wanted to go to like a party or something that they were having, and it was like there was just some like annoying fuckery with like the rules, and it was personal.
That was the one, the bottle share playa. Was it that party?
No, it was something else. It wasn't like a big deal. It was just real like bad business practice. I did end up going there once, and it was a place that had a cool bar. Like their seating area, like they had a big open sort of picnic table area, but the actual bar area was very much like had kind of like a speakeasy vibe.
It was a beautiful looking spot from the photos I saw. I'll
So
say that.
the rumor was that whoever started it was like, man, Golden Road put a lot of money in and they got bought out for $1 bajillion. So let's go ahead and just dump a bunch of money in here. Maybe AB will buy us too. Like,
totally.
That was what the original rumor was, that like somebody was just trying to build a pretty brewery to get bought out.
That's why. That's exactly what the goal was, to get the buyout and make that money.
But so that's cool. I know where that is. I was wondering because I'm in Arts District like pretty regularly, so I was curious where they had ended up opening because I didn't see an address. So thank you, Hopped LA, for letting me know.
And for the listeners at home, if you're from LA, then you would know all of these references.
Sorry. Arts District is like east of downtown where all the artsy shit is.
It's in LA. And then you got to get some tacos, Venice Beach tacos.
You're not going to get from
tacos,
Arts District to Venice
speaking
Beach
of
in less than an
tacos.
hour, dude.
That's right. Trap fucking sprung, motherfucker.
Speaking of tacos, no, I'm not going to go there. No. I'm over here eating some taco NFTs. What?
So
No way.
this Berliner Weiss, I haven't
Quit
had a
the show
Berliner.
before we promote NFTs.
Oh God. Oh
I'm
yeah,
not- I'm
John's
not
little
even-
John's little
No.
venture.
No
We're
way.
we're not even going to talk about it.
Burn
It's-
the show to the ground.
Yeah, Jason will literally quit the show.
Straight to the moon.
I'll not appear.
No,
in any
there's no
episodes of
moonshot.
NFT
It's
content.
all about fun tacos. That's all. So
So real quick, I'll wrap up on my Berliner Weiss. It's actually, I guess, my palate wasn't as screwed as I thought it was because this is really nice. It's refreshing. It's actually a really nice wrap up to all of the hops.
I
haven't
figured
had-
it would be because they tend to be like lighter and a little tart. It's probably something that is it's going to separate out the hoppy stuff and
It's a little palate sweeper, honestly. After having
Yeah.
a bunch of hoppy
Mhm.
beers, having this kind of tart light beer, it's just it very much clears the palate, makes you feel like you're ready to try something else.
Yeah, and it's been a while since I've had like a straight up Berliner Weiss. I've had sour this and smoothie that, and not just like a pure sort of. Granted, I don't know how pure, but just a straight up like listed as Berliner. And at 3%, it is bubbly like they describe. It is tart like they describe, and it is refreshing. So I do not feel like I was lied to by this can. It is just the right amount of tartness. I don't feel like I'm drooling or like puckering, but it's there, and it does make my taste buds tingle. So yeah, I'm glad I grabbed it.
It's
And
funny
I'm glad you talked me into opening it.
It's funny how close the profiles of these beers are too, because what you're like, I could just verbatim just take what you just said, and that describes this beer too. It's just a little bit tart, it's a little bit sour on the palate, but nothing too hard, nothing too crazy. Really, really good. I mean, again, New Belgium, I trust them to make a pretty decent product. So.
And I like how going into it, you're like kombucha beer with some bullshit like tangerines.
Kombucha collaborating with a kombucha producer is so New Belgium. Like, I mean, not because of the hippy dippy stuff, but they're so well known for their sour program and everything they do with bacteria and funky stuff. It makes sense. Again, the thing that I didn't understand was how they got in contact with this spot out of basically Ventura County-ish area.
I mean, it's
but after you explained it, Tim,
it
makes sense. Yeah,
Flying Ember is a brand that's definitely been growing. So,
kind of a tasteless name in Central California, though, eh?
Yeah, no shit, right?
Flying Ember, I know those. One of those burned down my house last year.
Seriously, man, we were so sorry. I don't know if we need to wrap. I can hold off on a story.
Do you want to stop there?
I got nowhere to be, Tim. You can keep talking.
If you can stop recording then.
Yeah, it's not beer related.
All right, the show's over. Recording. Fuck it.
All right, done.
Bye.
We drove to Kings Canyon and Sequoia National Park the other day, like literally left in the morning and came back at night. And that's a 4.5 hour drive.
That's hardcore.
But like the burned area from some of the fires they had up there was still pretty gnarly in the park.
When I was up there, I went in 2020. Yeah, in 2020. During like COVID when shit was all sketch. And there's a lot of reasons that it was dodgy, but there was fires at the time somewhat nearby, so it was hazy everywhere. And that is where the magic of the Lightroom dehaze fucking filter, it really saved all of my photos from that trip. I was just like, oh, it really, like, I'm like, oh, that's what the mountain should look like without all the fucking wildfire smoke. It really you can't go crazy with it, but
if we're gonna get into photography, I took my Sony A7C that I'm using right now. That's what you're looking at me through. To my brother's house yesterday for his daughter's first birthday, and I let his, how old is Hunter? 3? I think he's 3, maybe 4. I let him walk around with my camera, which the camera, he could hardly hold it up because it weighs. I have it's made out of metal, and then it's got a lens on it that's it's not centered properly if you have small hands, and then I have a metal cage around it. So it weighs a good 2.5, 3 pounds. It's not light. And so for him to use it, he would hold it like this and just like hit the button and take a photo because he couldn't lift it up.
Yeah.
It was kind of cute.
Anything good come from it?
I just put it on auto, and a lot of good. After we told him how to like compose a photo, like, make sure they're your face is in the center, basic shit. Cause he didn't, otherwise he's just pushing the button. Here's a click. Cause it makes like the shutter sound. And I put it on, continuous shot, so it was just like
that's awesome
because I'll eventually get a good photo from it somewhere. But then he liked the way it sounded and it just was like shooting. But
the perspective you get from that's probably fun.
A lot of good photos, man. I gave it to him and my niece, who is 7, I think. So she's taller and knows how to use a camera. And like I took photos at the party of like their daughter who turned 1 and they were good. I mean, but it was cool giving the camera to a kid and getting their perspective, and like going up to people that I wouldn't have gone up to and asked for
Mhm.
photos because I don't know these people. Like they're my
I-
brother's friends, not mine. It was cool.
I've let the
That's all I have to say.
kiddo. I've let the kid play with the camera a little bit, but he still seems intimidated by it. He's old enough to be like, "Oh, I don't want to break it," but
Yeah, I wouldn't let them go in the kitchen. It was only on carpeted areas. So
Yeah.
if they did drop it, because it's a pretty robust camera, I'm not that worried if it falls a foot onto the carpet. So yeah. Also, I got a Steam Deck.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's pretty cool.
It reminds me of my Game Gear.
Are you playing Cuphead on the shitter?
Playing no, it's overexposed. My friend Pedro, which is like a shoot 'em up kind of platformer, I guess. It's like a hybrid shoot 'em up platformer. It's a very fun game, and I bought this game 2 years ago on Steam and played it on the PC for 2 hours. Never opened it again because it's not difficult to turn the PC on and start playing games, but it's just kind of a pain in the ass where like with an Xbox or a Switch, you just pick it up and start playing.
How quick
Way
does
better on
the
this.
Steam Deck boot?
Well, you can put it to sleep. If you boot it from power off, about a minute, but it has instantaneous wake and sleep. So, and here I'll just start my friend Pedro.
Is it just it's specific Steam games, right? It's all built off of the Steam platform.
It's Steam, yeah. It's the Valve Steam Deck, so
it's
anything
a
on
cool
Steam.
idea, but it's like there's so many like everything's fractured at this point. It's real frustrating to know like what hardware or things to get.
So when you asked me, Jason, I launched my friend Pedro, and it took 10 seconds to launch. So it's not a huge game, like it's not very complex.
It's not
but-
enormous.
No, but I don't like you can play Elden Ring on this, but I already paid for it on Xbox, and I'm not about to pay for it again on Steam because I didn't like it. I am not a Souls fucking game player. Like I got immediately frustrated. I'm like, fuck this. I want my money back. And
Yeah, those
not
games
just
look like my nightmare.
Souls like, that's what they're called.
Yeah.
Or,
Dude, on the topic of computer video game stuff, EVGA got 3080s in stock last week. They're still in stock, and now they have a $50 rebate.
What
much-
I know.
so,
help
like-
me remember because my nerdiness died.
A 3080 is the like 90% top tier of video cards you can get.
Okay.
like 3090 is something you'd get if you're like a developer or
3090
Yeah.
exists specifically for people to be like, I have the most money, I want to have the best thing. I'll pay 50% more for 5% better performance, basically.
Yeah.
When
3080 is the one you want if you have the money.
But it's still fucking $900.
Mhm.
yeah,
But it was $1,900 a year ago. And so being able to get it for $900 is actually like cheap for the modern era.
when video cards started taking up 2 slots, that's kind of when I trailed off.
Even the card I have, the 1660 Ti, I believe, that takes up two. It doesn't literally take up 2 PCIs,
It takes up
slots,
the
space of 2 slots.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Here's the thing: you don't have any other add-in boards generally, so it doesn't.
Yeah,
matter.
not anymore. Like it used to. It used to
Yeah,
be you had to have the sound card and the modem and the Ethernet, and then you had to fit a video card.
That was
See,
a
like-
long time ago, Tim, and
Oh,
this is how we could tell you're an old nerd.
I haven't really owned a desktop like I have a desktop PC and I used it for a while, but I built that. Oh fuck, I don't even remember how long ago.
I'm using Greg's, the one he made that he just gifted to me, and he had an AMD card in there, I think. And
I've only owned-
I'm happy to watch prices go down because I'm planning to buy Aiden a whole new computer for his birthday.
Got it.
Because he's only ever had hand-me-down shit, and I'm like, you know what? He's gonna be 15. It'll be like a special thing. Like it'd be like, all right, you can get a nice, like not like a crazy fucking one, but like something that's modern and good, and that'll last him a couple years. So
I think it's funny too because I've been like Apple laptops is pretty much the only thing I have for so long now, and my kid is Like I can't imagine a PC anymore because he plays everything he wants on like an iPad.
Well, we've talked about this before, and
Oh,
his exposure to cool gaming is very limited. So, like, I think even getting your kid something like a Switch would be like kind of game changing or mind blowing for him.
Yeah, but I've seen the
Here's the
addictive
thing.
personality, so I have to limit that shit.
With the Switch, if you buy them like a Nintendo Switch, you're locked into buying $50 games forever.
Yeah,
If you buy them something like John's Steam Deck, then you can buy cheap PC games.
Yeah, last week I bought like 5 games that were $3 to $10 each. Like, and
Yeah.
I was happy to pay for it because now I might actually play them because I can sit on my couch and play PC games. And some of those too you can get on the Switch, but there is the Switch tax on there that
Right.
developers
Everything's
know
very
people are
expensive.
they know they're gonna pay for the portability of the game.
Yeah.
And that's why it's on the Switch because it's portable. But now that the Steam Deck's here, it's more expensive than the Switch. And I got the top of the line one that's like $650, but it has like 512 gigs of storage, and that's pretty much all you're paying for is the storage. And it's got like a matte screen display, which is really nice. Like I didn't think it would look as good as it does, but it's also a 720p display, and it's bigger than the Switch, so it still looks good. Anyway, yeah, these games are on the Switch, but you do pay the Switch tax because of the portability. So Jason's right. If you want like access to more games at cheaper prices, a PC is the way to go, but you're tied to the PC, where for a lot of kids, having a Switch, like it's
Here's the thing. Kids don't have any connection to these fucking games because every property on the Switch is properties from the 80s that we all have nostalgia for.
No, I'm not saying I'm not saying IP. I'm saying they have an
like,
attachment to the Switch because it's like it fits in their hand and
because
it's
I was
easy
like,
to play on.
oh, maybe I can get Aiden a Switch. Like that'd be nice for, but like he doesn't give a shit about those games. His friends and everybody he talks to are playing games
Fortnite.
on PC. He's really into Deep Rock Galactic. That's a game he plays a lot. Deep Rock Galactic and like
I'm not out
Roblox.
here trying to like convince you to buy him a
Roblox.
Switch. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna buy him a PC, I think that's really
like,
cool.
I thought about getting him a Switch a couple times, and then I was just like, yeah, but then I'm locking myself into buying $50 fucking Mario Kart games where he's been very happy buying, you know, fucking $10 games or $20 games like on his PC. So why put him into a newer, more expensive ecosystem
It's
when
just a
he's
matter
happy
of
with
time
what he's
before,
got?
Before his friends expose him at some point. I don't know, or not. Maybe it's the old man John talking because I love Mario Kart, but I'm also like an NES was my first console, and then like a Genesis. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing about your Steam Deck there. Like I mentioned, like it just reminds me. I had gotten rid of it at some point, but like it reminds me of the Game Gear, which was my favorite handheld, even though it was like way bigger than a Game Boy. But it's color.
It's very Game Geary, and when you play the Steam Deck for a while, okay, and then go back to the Switch, you feel the difference. It's significantly larger. Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's because we're logged in under my email address, so we can all control streaming. I'm talking to Yvonne, by the way. So say hi, Yvonne. Get in the camera.
Hi.
There she is. You guys want to see me open a rosé?
All day.
It's a brute rosé, so it's carbonated.
Oh. Nice.
Here, take the cork in the cage.
That was excellent.
Have fun.
I like how Jason's gone, but it's your face.
Oh, yeah, it's because we're logged into the same account.
I know.
So we can all.
That's
what Yvonne said the same exact thing.
Wait, if I stop my cam, is it?
Hi, Johns. Oh, hi, Johns.
Yeah. Oh man.
Since Jason's gone, I don't know why he's so hateful towards Nintendo. It's just weird. It's
I don't think he hates Nintendo
for games. Well, I get that. Like, it's a lot of money for games, but
yeah. But I think his point is that if he were to get like the person that he is potentially building the computer for is not old enough to have the nostalgia factor.
Yes, and I get what he's saying about his friends are playing PC games. So of course, if you're going to spend money, get the PC. But you know, the Switch is a pretty cool little console, and I'm happy I own two.
Yeah,
so, and Yvonne plays the shit out of her Switch.
Well, you know, when you're the you have that that no kids money, and you just like hang out and have all the time in the world.
But it's also a reality. I have no kids' money, and I can buy whatever the fuck I want, like
And
a
you
Steam
can just
Deck.
sit around and play games all fucking day if you want.
Yeah, it's great.
You can rely on the old man's money.
Yeah.
You can rely on the old man's money. You're
But
a rich girl.
On that note, I'm gonna start getting going because we're gonna head down to Disneyland.
Not a Hall & Oates fan, I see.
Yeah, it's beyond my time frame, man.
Yeah, no, she's a rich girl. You don't know the song?
I'll connect with you on the 2000s emo, but that's probably about it.
And that's where it ends.
Because you're this is the second show in like at least the past two that you've made Aerosmith references, and I'm just like,
all right, my Aerosmith thing is my own weird thing, but Hall & Oates, like, I don't know, Rich Girl's just a beggar.
Sure. Well, Aerosmith to me is like,
you don't know any Aerosmith songs?
No, I mean I do. I said this last time. Aerosmith to me is fucking animal crackers on a belly button.
Oh, the
the Deep Impact,
Armageddon,
or
Armageddon. There you go. Yeah.
And that's
a weird reference. Like I got what you were talking about, but it made me think. Okay, that's
and also the their short-lived arcade game that was like the Terminator game. You had like
Revolution
the guns,
X, yeah,
and you had to like help them defeat something. I remember that because I was in my arcade.
It was a organization called Non, but their label looked very much like the 9 Inch Nails logo. It was like the N backwards N, but instead of an I, it was an O. And it was just nameless bad guys, but you had to defeat them and rescue all of Aerosmith. Yeah.
That was. I remember that game.
I did not know this game existed, and I'm glad because it sounds.
I spent a lot.
Was it good?
It was a shooter game,
yeah.
Right? So it was just,
okay.
It was like an arcade shooter that had the guns or whatever. So it was literally just like shit popped up, you shot it, and then like it would play like Aerosmith music. And if you did the right things in the right areas, it would be like you have to shoot this sign and it'll bring you into this bathroom. And if you blast open this door, you find fucking Joe Perry doing cocaine in the fucking toilet.
I spent a lot of time at the arcade. That's for sure.
I think Aerosmith as a band is all still alive, right? I don't think.
Yeah, they're all alive. Yeah. They don't really like each other, so they don't.
Yeah, that's the sad part.
That's got to happen after many, many years.
Yeah. And Steven
when I was in
Tyler's
my
got
band,
that
I did
American
not
Idol
like
money.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Steven Tyler's got American Idol money, so like they're doing less and less as a band. He also kept like hurting himself.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's in his like fucking 70s and he would do like fucking flips and shit on stage, and it'd be like, Steven Tyler fell off the stage and fucking broke his arm. And he can't tour for 6 months because
double hip replacement coming in.
Yeah, like an elderly man. Yeah.
I fell off a stage once. Literally fell off a stage.
It's not
pretty
surprising.
rad. You didn't break your hip though, right?
Because I was how old was I? 19, 20? I was on stage left, and I didn't know I was so close to the edge, and I stepped to the side and just kept going.
Wait, while performing?
Yes.
Did you keep playing though?
Yeah, I did, and then I smashed up my guitar because I was pissed at myself. It was a pretty cool moment, and then I rebuilt it. So
okay, good.
I still have it was my Gibson SG. So.
Nice.
Anyway,
all right, dudes.
Dude, the guy from Hall & Oates was on a podcast I listened to. Tim, you can leave. I don't care. I'm gonna keep talking about Hall & Oates.
That's fine.
And apparently he's played like the same. They're like, "What's your like one guitar? Like your favorite one?" He's like, "Yeah, it's just this like 54 like natural finish Stratocaster that he's had since he was like."
God! If you have a 54 Strat,
well, he bought it in like 1968. Off a drug dealer, apparently, he said. And awesome. He's just like, I play that on everything. I've played it since I was young. Like, it's just my guitar. It's like extension of me, like that guitar thing. It's just the most basic looking fucking Stratocaster.
I was watching Metallica live. I'll let you leave after this, Tim. And I saw like Kirk Hammett. Like obviously, Metallica's guitars are all custom ESP guitars at this point, but the paint job on his purple, whatever he calls it, his ESP guitar, they had it like masked to a point where, because the neck was made out of maple, so it was a purple body guitar with a maple neck, but you have to make it look like the neck is separate from the guitar because it's one piece of wood. It's not a bolt-on neck. It's like all the same piece of wood, which is money for a guitar. And I don't know. I saw that and I was like, that's so cool. Like I love Kirk Hammett's guitar so much, and like I've never had a solid like guitar like that where it was like one piece of wood because they're so expensive. But I don't know. I
How
don't play
expensive
guitar.
maybe
could
if
they
you-
be though? Like
Maybe if you had less string
Well, okay,
decks.
Jason, you have to put this in context. It's expensive for 20-year-old John.
yeah,
Where
I was
a
like,
guitar
that's the whole
like that
thing
was
of anything in
2,500
guitar, right?
bucks. And
40-year-old
as a
John doesn't
middle-aged-
really play.
As a middle-aged professional, you're like, I can afford whatever the dumb fucking guitar I
totally.
want.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I
then
could
you
definitely,
don't play, so it
Yeah.
just sits there. I
Yeah.
did that like 10 years ago. I bought the like Les Paul I'd always wanted, and after it just sat in my I played it like 4 times in 5 years, and I was like, I'm just gonna sell this fucking thing. I
Yeah.
don't play it.
I love his
Meanwhile,
guitars.
this bass that I stole from Guitar Center, technically I did make one payment on it, but I paid my dues on that bass and I'm keeping it forever. My credit was bad for a decade, partially because of that bass.
Is it just like a P bass?
It's a Epiphone Thunderbird.
Huh. Okay.
All
So
right.
it's like a flat black. It's like their goth Thunderbird.
Bye-
Bye,
bye,
Tim.
Tim.
No worries. Sorry, guys. Good seeing you. I'll see you next time.
Cheese,
All
bro.
right.
Bye.
What's an Epiphone? What now?
A Thunderbird bass. It's the
I feel like we've talked about this before. Thunderbird.
Yeah, search for the goth Thunderbird. It was like a thing in that time. Oh goddamn! One of these is selling on the internet for $600.
Oh,
Nah, it's not
Interesting.
selling. Yeah, it's a pretty cool looking bass.
It looks to me like it's almost like the Gibson Explorer body, but like shrunk down.
Yeah, the Thunderbird is the Explorer bass.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
And then kind of a like reversed Fender
Yeah.
headstock.
My guitar collection is weird. So I have the Thunderbird bass, I have a Fender acoustic, I have a Fender Jagstang, like my dream guitar when I was a teenager that I'm keeping forever.
Is that the Kurt Cobain guitar?
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is
you
actually
saw they actually came out with that, right? Like, or they? When did you buy that?
1997.
No, they did one. Maybe it's a reissue or something. I don't know. I swear I saw that Fender came out with. Oh man, I didn't know that was a thing back then. Okay.
Yeah, it's basically like you took a Mustang and a Jaguar and you cut them in half vertically, and you took the left half of a Mustang and the right half of a Jaguar and put them together. And it's got the thin neck from the Mustang too, but it's such a weird oblong guitar that I had to buy a bass case for it because it wouldn't fit in a regular guitar case. It also has this shitty floating bridge that fucking sinks over time. So you're constantly having to get an Allen wrench and raise it back up, or your fucking high strings buzz on the lower notes, or on the higher notes, like on lower in the fretboard. But it was a Japanese made Fender, which for the 90s was like the second best one. Apparently they're over $1,000 now, which is
the Japanese Fenders, outside from getting an American one. Like I think people prefer the Japanese over Americans, but that was the one to get. Kurt Cobain Jaguar. No, it's a Jagstang. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's the top of it, or the left side of it is a Fender Mustang, and the right side of it's a Fender Jaguar.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with Nirvana in the 90s. So,
did they have a left-hand version back then too?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because I think maybe that's why I think it's new, because they came out with a left-hand version because Kurt Cobain played left-handed. So
I think maybe they just reissued it because Nirvana has got seemingly has a big resurgence with the modern. Yeah, well, okay, so I'm seeing it on sale for $1,300, and those are for new ones.
Yeah, and so John from 2000 would be like, I can't afford that. That's I need a credit card. Where if I wanted to buy this now, I would be like, fuck yeah, I'm taking it. Like, it's a
That's
cool looking guitar.
The curse of
Man.
age, right? You're like, all right, I can afford all the things I want. I just need time. And you're like, oh no, the curse of age.
Yeah, well, I would need a band for this, and I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
there's
want
also that.
to. I don't want to
Yeah.
deal with people.
It's hard enough getting like a fucking D&D game together, like a band.
Yeah, it's like getting a decent podcast like group of people was hard, but
Right?
I did it somehow.
Getting 4 adults together is really hard.
Yeah.
Turns out
All
people
right.
got a lot of wow, apparently so that guitar was made 94, 95 to 01, 03 to 05, and then 2021 to now. So it's just kind of
Okay.
come and gone.
So that was the first time I heard of it then, because I didn't know they made it way back then. Because Fender made it sound like this was a guitar they made specifically for Kurt Cobain because this is what he wanted. And okay, so it was commemorating the 30th anniversary of Nirvana's seminal record. Okay, that's
the
why.
original guitar, there is actually like a drawing that he did, and it's literally like you just cut out of a magazine a picture of a Jaguar and a Mustang and kind of stuck them together. So it is very much, and I think there was a couple instances of him actually fucking playing them before he died. It's not the best guitar. It's the single coil sounds like shit. The humbucker is pretty good. I only ever played through the humbucker. It has switches to kind of polarize the pickups like a Jaguar does. But I only ever found one setting that sounded good, so I would sometimes knock the switches and it would fuck my playing up if I was trying to play hard.
It's like playing a Strat. Like, I mean, you're either using the bridge pickups or the neck pickups, because the middle one, I guess, maybe if you're in some kind of setting where you're recording, that could come in useful. But for playing live, that you want that like extreme contrast, because the bridge is so much more punchy, where the neck is more. It's
the
fatter
thing is,
and,
on the Jag Stang, the switches are above the strings. So if you're
Yeah, I see
playing
that.
aggressively, you can knock them into the other positions. The middle position being off. So if they're in the up position, you just can accidentally turn your pickups off. It's
So
not a guitar without
full
issues.
up, middle is off and full up is on.
Well, there's an up and then a down. Again, I think it's something about polarizing the pickups. I'm not that fucking versed in guitar shit anymore.
Yeah, I don't know that much about pickups either.
But
It's cool
yeah, I don't know.
guitar though, man.
But I have that, and then I have my dad's old EB2 Gibson EB2 bass from the 60s.
I have my SG, my Les Paul, my Fender, my American Fender that I think I paid $800 for, which it's fine. And then I have a guitar. I have a guitar in my wife's office that I took from a guy and told him I would install. I had leftover pickups, and it's a cheap piece of shit guitar. But I said, yeah, I'll put my pickups in there. I'll bring it back. And I didn't want to steal his guitar, but I stole his guitar because we ended up moving like a month later. And if I could give it back to him, I would, but I don't remember.
Got his ass.
Yeah, it's a piece of shit guitar though. And then I have the P bass that I got from somewhere at some point, that I actually used on the New Brew Thursday theme song. So
that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no calluses, so I don't play, because every time I play for more than 5 minutes, my fucking fingies hurt.
I have really heavy strings on my guitar because that's what our bass player Matt mandated we put on our guitar, so we didn't break strings live. So if I went back to lighter gauge strings, I'd be fine. But right now, like playing my high E string it's like a razor blade on my pinky.
Yeah,
it's very, very heavy for what it is. I don't remember the gauges, but
even my basic bar chord shit, like I play like shit now. Like again, after 5 minutes, I'm like, my fingies hurt.
For me, it's probably more not fingers hurting, but like my muscles in my forearm not being conditioned to play anymore. But yeah,
Start a band, John.
Let's
I have
do
a
it.
I have a bass amp. I don't
I
have a
have
guitar amp. I have 3 guitars and 1 bass, and I have 1 bass amp.
I have 2 cabinets. I have a Marshall with Celestials in it, and then I have, um, God, why can I not remember the name of this? The mega popular like amp from 20 years ago.
Let's just
The
start a
Mesa Boogie. I have a Mesa Boogie cab,
Oh,
and
nice.
then I have a Line 6 head that's all digital, but it's got really good emulation that I got at a pawn shop for like
Right, yeah, yeah.
$150. Like
Nice.
it's not even like a digital. It's all knobs and stuff, but it's really good like for what I paid for it.
Let's do
So,
a 90s Green Day cover band.
I am so fucking down for that. Okay, there's 4 people watching. If you play music and you want to join this band, and you can play drums
If you want to be
really
Trey
well,
Cool in our fucking whatever, let's just get like a fucking sequencer app, and I'm sure we can be like download.
we don't have to deal with either like drummers with bad attitudes or stoned drummers. It's just a computer.
My dad's one bit of advice to me when I was coming up and I was playing in bands, he was just like, drummers, they're always the worst. It was just like, he was just like every drummer I've ever been with. He's like, we had a showcase with a label rep and our drummer was 2 hours late, so we missed it. We didn't get
I'll say
signed
this
'cause our
for
fucking
Chris, our drummer from Better Luck. Great guy. Like we practiced at his house. He was in it 100%. Dude was a stoner and liked to party. And that was really his only downfall. Otherwise, he was a. I mean,
I mean,
he
that's
was fucking,
every band. If this guy wasn't super into partying every day, he'd be
no, but
amazing.
he kept it together and he could play really fucking fast. Like he's a good drummer. Now I think he's massively overweight and has a couple kids and doesn't play drums anymore. So I don't think he could keep up. But back then he was a damn good drummer.
So John, are you gonna sing in our Green Day cover band? We're starting the
Absolutely.
Four Brewers Green Day cover band. You're just gonna be like, I declare I don't care no more.
When I was in my band before Better Luck, we never had a singer that was good, and I would sing, like we would cover Newfound Glory while we were kind of like a Deftones style band, but we would play Newfound Glory songs like to have fun, and I would sing all those songs, and they sounded, at least in my head, they sounded really good. So, but this was 20 years ago. So
was that the time that you realized Thriller was your favorite song?
We would play that song. Yeah. Anyway.
Man. Ribswith joined in right at the end. And I'm like, hey, Ribswith, do you play drums?
If you play drums, you can be in our band.
Can you play 86 by Green Day?
There's no return from 86. All right.
Apparently
so
that song was about them being banned from the Gilman venue because they sold out.
all right, yeah, okay. But I don't think they're bitter about it because they ended up buying like, I think they either bought the place out or bought them like a board or something. Like they're still highly attached to that place. And they didn't
I think so. I think it was more that like at every point Green Day was kind of hurt that they weren't welcome there, and then at some point they were welcome back.
Got it. Okay.
That was in the book Sellout, which is a pretty good book actually. You might enjoy. I'm reading it on Kindle, but it's just telling the stories of a bunch of different bands from the punk scene that signed into major labels. And Green Day is one of the early ones because they kind of started a feeding frenzy, but they talk about, and the book is very much written almost from the label, like guy's perspective, which is an interesting take on it. And it's interesting to see the bands that succeeded were the ones that were kind of shrewd about it. Like Blink-182 chose the label they chose because they knew they'd be the only punk band on that label and they would get pushed, where they didn't want to be on the same label as like Green Day because they knew that they would never get any fucking love because all the love would go to Green Day.
Yeah.
And how the bands that navigated that well ended up being incredibly successful. And then bands that just completely imploded, like Jawbreakers in there and Thursdays in there with Victory Records and all the shit that went on with Victory.
Interesting.
Pretty notoriously shitty indie label, but
I will check that out. Sellout, right?
Sellout, yeah. I got to the part about the transplants. And I'm like, man, I could not give a fuck about any of these people. Like, I don't really fucking care about Rancid or Tim Armstrong or
Yvonne
Iggy.
loves transplants. She is very much a product of her era. She loves Alkaline Trio and transplants.
I love Alkaline Trio. They're great.
So do I. Alkaline Trio.
Transplants, though. That woo woo song. I'm
A
sure.
lot of money from that song.
I'm sure they did. It was in every fucking commercial for 5 years.
All right, y'all.
All right. Ribs with can only play trumpet, so we got to start a ska band.
Nope, not going to happen. Next week, I think we're recording.
John can't play upstrokes.
I can play upstrokes. Fuck you.
Prove it.
I'm good at ska. I don't want to play it, though. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next week.